Welcome to the Real Family Therapy Podcast. It's your host, DJ Double OG. We got Are You Serious in the building. What's going on, brother?
Not much, sir.
We got Dad off today. He's handling some business. Episode 18 of the Real Family Therapy Podcast. Usually, just like every episode, we're going to start off with news that nobody particularly cares about. And this week, I want to start off with something racist. It's a lot of racist stuff going on. So the first one was Walmart. I don't know if you heard about the Walmart email scandal. Did you hear about that? Are you serious? No?
What happened?
So Walmart sent out a group email, and the email started off with "Welcome back to Walmart" N-word, but it didn't say N-word. It said the actual word.
Well, obviously.
So it said "Welcome back to Walmart" N-word. It didn't have the regular place. So a lot of people got emails about this, and they got emails from it, and they screenshotted the emails and posted it on Twitter and different websites. And Walmart responded and said it was a bad actor who hacked into the Walmart thing. And
Yeah, obviously, I don't think the corporation would send that.
yeah, it was a bad actor, but it just goes to show you the level of stupidity and racism, and the level of antagonism that comes with racism. So I don't think people, sometimes equate antagonism with racism, but it's one in one. And I just thought it was just funny that Walmart sending out emails saying, welcome back to Walmart, N-word. Because sometimes that's probably how they feel, when you walk back in the door, welcome back. Because I'll stay at the Walmart in Woodbury. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. In other news, though, speaking of racism,
I'll stay at the Walmart.
I'll stay at Walmart for real. Walmart and Target. Them was like Target is closer, so I go to Target mostly. But yeah, I'll stay in Walmart and Target. Rick Santorum, the host from CNN, former senator, two-time presidential candidate, Rick Santorum has been fired from CNN. And I don't know if you heard about this one either. Are you serious? But he was fired by CNN for making racist statements about Native Americans.
Yeah. I seen the article of it. I didn't see what he said. I didn't get time to read the article or whatever because I get like the little.
It looks like he was at an event and he was trying to pander to Judeo-Christianity. And what exact words was that this country was based on Judeo-Christian principles and that white settlers birthed a nation from nothing. I mean, there was nothing here, is what he said. Then he added, I mean, yes, we have Native Americans, but candidly, there isn't much Native American culture in American culture. And those are his direct words. And then he went on to just keep spewing ignorance.
All you literally I guess you can just say why. So why was there no Native American culture and American culture? Why?
Could be that they killed them all.
Yeah. Why? Why was it?
Easy. That's easy to do. So I seen I just thought, racism always, it's like they say the cream rises to the top. Racism always pops its ugly head eventually. No matter where you at or what you're doing, eventually, if you are racist or have them thoughts, they're going to come out. And nowadays, when they come out, 90% of the time, they are going to be recorded, which is, what happens. And, of course, racism towards Native Americans isn't something that we think about a lot. And the reason why is because they've killed so many Native Americans, and then they turned around and gave them a bag of money.
Gave who a bag of money?
Native Americans.
Yeah, they gave some, not all.
Everybody that claims Native American, you getting a bag of money, bro.
Yeah, but it's with stipulations and things like that. So it's not as lucrative. Like when you look up the poverty levels of Native Americans and look up the discrepancies in education for Native Americans and look up their different their setups. So that's just something that once again the propaganda they put up to make it seem like they're better off than what they are. So I mean, just look up some of that stuff because it's telling. Like if you look at the people with the lowest education and the lowest poverty and all this other stuff, Native Americans, that other, they be in there. Like if you look at the other, because they like to throw them in the other, which is disrespectful, but because of the size of how many they are, they don't figure they need to actually look at them. But if you look at per capita type of situations, they're not doing too
But
well. But even if you look at South Minneapolis, right off our Cedar, you telling me all them Native Americans is balling over there?
you're right, because not all
Yeah,
Native Americans get money.
yeah.
So it
Mm-hmm,
depends on the tribe that you're in.
mm-hmm.
And the thing about Native Americans is their leader of their tribe makes the decisions for that tribe. So sometimes you got good leaders and sometimes you got bad leaders. Sometimes you have a good council, sometimes you have a bad council. So a lot of those times, those councils, the Native American land and councils are all affected. So I'm gonna give you an example of something that I know personally because I know these people. But like the Mystic Lake tribe, I say Mystic Lake because those Native Americans, that tribe owns that casino, Mystic Lake. And in
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota, a lot of Native Americans own all of the big casinos. There's another casino, Treasure Island, and that's another casino owned by Native Americans. So I know people on both of those lands, right? So the Treasure Island tribe is not as rich as the people at Mystic Lake, but they all still get a bag. So I know personally, if you're at Mystic and you're in that tribe and you live on that land, you receive $100,000 a month from shares from the casino and the profits, and then you also get a government pension every month as well.
Yeah,
And the
but that's
children
like,
get it from birth. So just imagine getting $100,000 from birth
okay, so I'll give you an example,
until you
right?
turn 18.
I'll give you an example. So
But
that's
that's
like
real
look,
though.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So but I'll just give like once again, that's perfectly real, but I'm talking about the totality of Native Americans, right? So you got that group or those groups, they get bread. There's no doubt about it. But that doesn't mean that the majority of them aren't poverty stricken. So that's why I said if you look at the NBA, the NFL, social media, the comedians, the actors, white people will sit there and say, "Well, all black people are fine. Look at all these millionaires and look at all these rich white black people. Black people are perfectly fine. There's nothing holding them back. There's no problem in the black community when it comes to income and money because they're all getting money. Look at them. They all got nice cars. They all got so what you see, yes, you see a lot of black people prospering. You see a lot of black entrepreneurs. You see a lot of black athletes that are making millions on top of millions of dollars. They're on television. They're this. So every time you see them, you see a large number of black people making money. But the majority of the black people in America are in poverty and they're under 40, the average black male averages only $40,000 what is it, $40,000 a year, something like that is the average black male income, or it's something lower than that. But so that's what I'm saying. Like you have those groups, but there's a lot of groups that are struggling. There's a lot of groups that are really poverty stricken.
Now hold on, but wait, let me tell you one thing. No, that is true.
Yeah.
Every Native American gets a check for being Native American.
But
Again,
I
The
just told you that
communities
the
are
average
smaller,
median of the Native Americans is $32,000 a year.
yeah, but they
That's not
still
balling.
not not ball. Okay, the Mystic Lake tribe is called the Minwakanins Shoes. Okay,
Right, but
so
those are exceptions, I'm saying, and
so
that's not the
Shakopee,
norm.
Minwakan Sioux, and the Treasure Island Casino tribe is called the Prairie Island Indian Community. Right. So
Right,
Prairie Island Indian Community, for you to live on that property, you get $35,000 a month through Treasure
right,
Island. So these are the ballers, right? So the Mystic Lake tribe is the top of the top
right,
of the Native American community. So I do want to clarify that because you are
right,
right. But they
right,
do get $100,000 a month for living on the property. When you go to Shakopee, which is where the Shakopee Minwakan Sioux community is, and you go on their land, every house is a 7, 8, 10 bedroom mansion. Every house has a lake, a pool, like it's a community of millionaires. From the age of zero, the birth, until 18, the children stack $100,000 every month that live on that tribe in there. So
Right.
imagine if Black people had the same opportunity for reparations as the Native Americans, and also had the same opportunities to gain
Yeah, but you
capital.
have to look at
We
the
had our own land and we had our own set of rules that we live by, and we're
yeah,
only policed by our own police. So Shakopee, Minnewakas, and tribe police are different, and the rules on the
right,
tribal land are
right,
different
right.
than there. But it's not like they're off in the cut. You know what I'm saying? So like their land is here, but 2 blocks
Mhm.
down it's a Walmart.
So
It's
what
a
I would
McDonald's.
say then is that something isn't right then, right? So when I'm putting two and two together, something isn't adding up, right? So when we talk about that, for example, that situation, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So how is it that situation in those conditions, but yet the average is only 33,000? That one out of four is in poverty, and then one out of three doesn't have health insurance.
Now let me give you another
So
example. So my neighbor that lived upstairs when I stayed on Bush, you know the girl that lived upstairs from me. She's
right.
Native American. Her mother
Hmm.
died, rest in peace.
Hmm.
They're all Native American, but they don't live in those rich communities. They live in South Dakota. I think it was North Dakota.
Hmm.
So they live in a reservation in North Dakota.
Hmm.
So they don't get $130,000 because there is no casino on their reservation. They just live on their reservation. So
There you
they
go.
get their money from the government, and then whatever else their community needs, they all pool together, but they're not all rich. So imagine everybody only getting $1,800 a month. Then
Right.
yeah, you broke, because that's adding
And
up.
that's
That's
what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying.
$133,000.
Like it's about the conditions in
Yeah.
which they're getting these monies and where they're at. So for example, like they're like, yo, black people, we gonna give you $200,000 a year, right? But you only can stay in this area only, and you can't go nowhere, and you can't get this, and you can't get that. But you can police your own selves. You guys got your own law, but you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you can't do that, and you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you
Well,
can't
see,
build.
they
But
don't
there
have
are a lot of
restrictions.
there are a lot of
Like
restrictions in
if
there.
they okay,
So
it
I'm
depends
reading
on
them
their
right
money.
now is what I'm trying to say. So right.
So,
So
but if you don't live on the land, you still get a check. It's just not as big, but you
and
still get
there
a
you
check.
go. And that's what I'm trying to say. So for example, on that land and in that situation, you're restricted on what you have and what you can do there. Like they have their own laws to a degree. You can do things to a degree, but there are certain stipulations that you can and cannot do, which restricts your ability to increase and you restricts your ability to actually grow. So there's no way that these people, we're talking about, are really going to really going to be making sure that the Native Americans will be able to exceed and excel and do all these things. Don't you think that they would have more? Don't you think that they would do more if that was the case, if it was not restricted, if it wasn't what it was?
But what I'm saying is,
Hmm.
as black people, as black people, we deserve reparations,
Right.
and we have an example of what you could do with reparations, and we have an
Hmm.
example of what black people can do if they were able to form their own communities. And the example is right
Yeah.
here in our face every day, right now. But what I'm saying is, no matter where they're at, they all receive a benefit from the United States government monthly.
Right.
Now, the amounts differ depending on your
Right. Of
community.
course. Yeah.
So yeah,
But
somebody's
that's
trying.
why I
But
just
as a
think that we
black
need
people,
to.
if we had a base where, okay, we understand what we did to you guys,
Mhm,
and we understand that we owe you, and this is what we're gonna do. If they
mhm.
gave us the same thing that they gave the Native Americans, you don't think black people as a whole would benefit tremendously?
So what I would need to do is actually talk to Native American people and see what the other stipulations are, like all the stipulations and all the conditions in which they're talking about. Because
Okay, but we only talking about the money. So I'm telling you the stipulations on the money
no,
is
I'm not
where they
talking
live.
about like, but there has to be something else to that. The only reason why I say that is there's no way that the average would be so low if everything was all peachy keen. So that's what I'm trying to say. There has to be something else, right? There has to be another catch. There has to be some other situation that's going on. Because if the poverty and the things that I'm just now glancing at just by doing a quick Google search, there are some other type of things that are hitting them that we're not discussing outside of the, because everything isn't solved with money, right? So I can give you $1 million, but if I restrict your access to this, or if your things are if your conditioning and where you live is based off of something else where you can't do anything, like that means something, because you can't grow in a dead area. Like you can't grow seeds in dead fertile. You can't grow and prosper in dead fertile. So if they're doing things that are giving them money, if I'm giving you bags of seeds, but the land that you're in can't grow, something is up. And I'm not the one to sit here and be like, well, Native Americans don't do this and they're lazy, because that's what they do to
We don't,
us.
yeah, we don't know that.
Because that's what they do to us.
Yeah, it is based on the tribes, right? So I don't want to think like people just getting checks,
Right.
like it's mailed to their house, but they are getting checks and it goes through the tribe,
But
which means you got a lot of opportunity for corruption,
yeah,
bad mismanagement,
yes,
good
that's what
leaders. That's
every,
so that's
and
what I
that's
was
what I'm
saying
trying
at
to
the
say as
beginning.
well. There's a
Like
lot of
there's
different
good
things. The
leaders
same with,
and there's
yeah.
bad leaders. So you're right. There are different levels to it. It's not like everybody just get an individual check. But if you're connected to the tribe, and usually they go through the mother's lineage to verify your Native American
Yeah.
percentage. So once you get tested and you find out you're Native American and you find out what tribe you're going through, then you have to register through that tribe. Now, that's where the probably catch come in, because certain tribes have different regulations. And
Okay,
certain
so
tribes give you different payouts based on whether you live on that reservation or not.
all right, it's like there's a lot of stipulations, man. And if there's no opportunity on that reservation, then what are you going to do besides get that little 1,700? Because once again, basically everything is set up capitalism and everything is set up the way it is. So everybody can't be a business owner. Because if I had my own business and I'm there 9 to 5, you at your business 9 to 5, everybody else at their business 9 to 5,
Who
there ain't
working?
nobody gonna be shopping.
Who working? Right. Who shopping? Who working?
And who gonna be working for me to make sure that, like, once again, like it doesn't make any sense. So for that whole everybody can win, that's not how America's works is set, that
To work the way it
80% of
works.
people are supposed to lose and 20% is supposed to win. And that's being
Working how it's
generous to
supposed to
say
work.
20. So 80% of the population has to lose for 20% to win.
Yeah, that's how it's set up, man.
But yeah,
I want to watch this video. I want to show you this video. I thought it was very inspiring. And I never heard it today. It's by Gil Scott Heron. I don't know if you heard this. It's called His Story. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I was wondering about our yesterdays and digging through the rubble. And to say the least, somebody went to a hell of a lot of trouble to make sure that when we looked things up, we wouldn't fare too well. And we would come up with totally unreliable pictures of ourselves. But I've compiled what few facts I could, such as they are, to see if we could find out a little bit of something. And this is what I got so far. First, white folks discovered Africa. They claimed it fair and square. Cecil Rhodes couldn't have been robbing nobody because, hell, there wasn't nobody there. The white folks brought all the civilization because there wasn't none around. How could the folks be civilized when wasn't nobody writing nothing down? And just to prove all of their suspicions, well, didn't take too long. They found out that there were whole tribes of people in plain sight running around with no clothes on. That's right. The men, the women, the young, and the old righteous folks covered their eyes, and no time was spent considering the environment. Hell no, this just wasn't civilized. And another piece of information they had, or at least this is what we were taught, is that unlike the civilized people of Europe, these tribal units actually fought. And yes, there was some crude implements, and yes, there was primitive art, and yes, they were masters of hunting and fishing, and courtesy came from the heart. And yes, there was love and medicine, religion, intertribal communication by drum, but no paper, no pencils, and no other utensils. And hell, these folks never even heard of a gun. And this is why the colonies came, to stabilize the land, because the dark continent had copper and gold, and the discoverers had themselves a plan. They would discover all the places with promise. You didn't need no titles and deeds. Then they would appoint people to make everything legal, to sanction the trickery and greed. And back in the jungle, when the natives got restless, they would call it guerrilla attack. And they would never describe that the folks finally got wise and decided that they would fight back. And still, we are victims of word games. Semantics is always a bitch. Places once referred to as underdeveloped are now called mineral rich. And the game goes on eternally. Unity kept just beyond reach. Egypt and Libya used to be in Africa. They've now been moved to the Middle East. There are examples galore, I assure you. But if interpreting were left up to me, I'd be sure every time folks knew this version wasn't mine, which is why it is called his story.
So it's kind of deep.
Yeah.
I never saw it. I don't know. I just wanted to throw a spotlight on Gil Scott-Heron because it kind of wraps up and summarizes kind of everything that we're talking about, even what they did to the Native Americans.
It's just disturbing how we have so much information about what happened, but yet it's just weird. Like, who is this quote unquote people that just act like this stuff wasn't real and didn't happen, or they just make the excuse, or they act like what they didn't do. That's why I said the last episode or whatever, 16, I believe, is talking about the Crusades. Like, the way that they describe certain things to say mass massacre, like it's a massacre, like multiple massacres, but instead of saying we went around killing people, we just say crusades. We have high school teams that are called the Crusaders. So like it just goes into what he's saying. Like, we have people, the pilgrims and the colonies, and we just make it seem like these
Cowboys
Europeans.
and Indians.
Yeah, like they just make it like these Europeans came over and just created something out of nothing, and they just we need to appreciate and thank these Europeans for coming over and doing what they did for America, when
that's what Rick Santorum said.
When basically what it is, it's like a big TikTok. Like, you have somebody that actually created the content, but you don't know them. So what happens is somebody that's popular sees that TikTok and literally recreates it, and then they get the accolades as if they're the funniest person in the world. They're the one that get the sponsors, but yet the person who creates it gets nothing. And it's like that's what America was. It's a big TikTok. We were sitting here giving people credit for something they didn't do. We're sitting there giving credit for people that we have to research and be like, oh, did you know that these 3 black women did all the calculations and did all the arithmetic to make sure that we're able to get to the moon? But yet we show all these white men that are in charge, and we give credit to the managers instead of the employees for the people who that actually do the work. And that's always weird to me. You give the CEO credit for a company when they literally didn't do any of it. They didn't do anything.
Yeah,
They didn't even come up with
might be
90% of the
wrong.
ideas, and even the things that they did do, they said on a whim, and they have a team of people that make it happen. And like, it's disturbing. It's interesting, but it's disturbing at the same time. It's like, yo, what are we doing in these situations? It's like we continue to give praise to the people that don't actually do the work, and it's very rare when you see people, like, once again, we give the president credit for things that he didn't do on a constant basis. Like, he has ideas, but he has a team of people working day and night to make these things happen. Do you think the president actually is writing up any of these? Who writes these bills up word for word? Who constructs this stuff word for word? Like, that's the people that we need to know. Those are the people we need to talk about. Those people we need to talk to, because they're creating the world. So we have these images of people who are leading, but the people who are actually doing the dirt, even the negative stuff that set up this stuff for the Native American, who wrote and constructed this setup so that Native Americans get free education, but they have to compete with everybody else in America for the same scholarship? Like, that doesn't, we're giving credit to the wrong people for good things, and we're giving the credit to the wrong people for bad things. Like, there's a lot of bad people out there that just walk, with no dirt on them, and we have a lot of good people that walk around broke with no accolades. It's a very weird situation, and that's what I'm reading. That's what I got from that story. It's like we constantly just do that.
And when you say that, it's a good transition, because that's how it happens in life. Last week, Paul Mooney died, and we all lamented Paul Mooney, right? And I used to say, I don't like Paul Mooney. And then you realize, well, he wrote all of Richard Pryor's stuff, right?
Not all, but you know what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? He wrote a lot of jokes, and you know he wrote a
Eddie
lot of the
Murphy.
movie screens that you like, and a lot of your favorite comics, and
He
a
wrote
lot of the
on Raw and
movies.
Delirious.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like some of the movies that I love.
He was back there in the background writing it.
Somebody knocking on my door. Hold on.
Yep, yeah. Pause.
Yeah, so back to Paul Mooney. I was talking about Paul Mooney. He wrote a lot of the stuff that you like, a lot of the movies that I like, a lot of the things that I like, but I never liked the Paul Mooney. But I loved Richard Pryor. And that's kind of exactly what you're saying. Like the person who's responsible for a lot of the things that you like isn't the person that takes credit.
And it's weird, but I mean, like for me, man, I just appreciate his comedy style. Obviously, he pushed people's a lot of buttons for people.
Yeah, he was very
You know, he was
controversial.
he was controversial in the way of what he was saying because some of it was too harsh and too true for some people. They didn't like it. He made sure that at least one white couple walked out every show. That was his goal. So I mean,
You know, I
he
think about him.
was great.
He's a pioneer, and even I see Chappelle taking some of his swag in Chappelle's later sketches because Paul Mooney might be on there doing a comedy set and he really just talking to you.
Yeah.
For 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? He ain't really telling jokes. He's just having a conversation.
Sit on that stool and go to work.
And that's kind of what I see Dave Chappelle doing lately. Like he tell little jokes, but he really just having a conversation with the audience.
Yes, brother. I'm telling you. It's amazing.
In other news that nobody cares about, it's kind of serious and sad, but Jeffrey Epstein, you know, he committed suicide in jail. Jeffrey Epstein.
He did what?
They say he committed suicide in jail.
You sure?
So the guards that were supposed to watch him are taking a plea deal. So I guess the story's coming out initially that he actually did commit suicide in jail. And what happened was the guards that were supposed to watch him were sleeping on the job, both of them for 2 hours that night. And at the same time that they believe he was killing himself, they were on their computers looking up furniture and motorcycle cars, motorcycle sales, internet furniture, and watching sports news when he was discovered dead in their cell. So what they did was they made a false police report. So when they reported the incident, they made it seem like they were doing their checks every 15 minutes, which you're supposed to do. You're supposed to walk the hall every 15 minutes to check on people. Where they weren't doing that. They didn't walk the hall for, I think it was 4 or 5 hours that night. And they were asleep most of the night during the shift. So now they got it. So they admitted to lying and that they're going to take a plea deal. And the plea deal that they're getting is 100 hours of community service. And they're getting on probation. And they got to also cooperate with an ongoing probe. So I think what that means is they're going to turn into snitches as well to save their life. So it was a big thing with Jeffrey Epstein because they didn't believe that he committed suicide because the fact that the police walked the yard every 15 minutes. So to find
but
out,
again, though, if somebody that just says that those guards weren't doing their job, that doesn't necessarily say that he committed suicide. To me personally, that just says that they gave whoever wanted to kill him 4 to 5 hours to do whatever they wanted to do, whenever they wanted to do, because they wasn't paying attention. So if somebody's not paying attention to their job consistently,
it's on camera. So they got cameras of the cell block.
Okay.
So nobody went in and out of the cell. Okay. They got cameras of the cell block. And even from my experience, I know when you're on the tier, you're on recorded. So everybody that's on the tier is recorded. Okay. So, and he was in suicide watch, which means he was in a segregated cell. So everybody that was in his cell block was on lockdown. So on the movies, it's easy to get in there, pay a guard, shank somebody up in the movies. In real life, it's almost impossible.
But no, I guess for me, it's hard to say like they wouldn't do it, but I could understand based off situation. That's how it is. Yeah. But I wouldn't say that that wouldn't be a possibility. Being with the same people, we got the same government that confessed to attempting to kill and killing Martin Luther King.
Yeah, I seen
Multiple
that.
times they attempted to kill him, as well as Malcolm X. So I
But
don't
when did they
understand.
confess to it?
Long time ago.
Okay.
But yeah, like they have. I mean, if it's the government, it's a prison. That you do what you want.
True. Yeah,
But
they
like I
can
said,
alter the
if they
tapes.
have the video and they show it, then yeah, he committed suicide, and I can understand that as well. As if you're going to go to jail for the rest of your life as a pedophile, then I wouldn't want to be around either. So that makes sense why people would want to kill themselves as well in that situation. So
Yeah, because he gonna be in jail. First of all, he's famous and he's a pedophile.
yeah,
And he raping little girls. So he would have
yeah,
spent the rest of his life in that
solitary.
solitary segregation.
Yeah, he would
Or
have been in
or he would have
solitary.
got stabbed up.
He would have been in solitary. Yeah,
Yeah, he was in solitary. So I understand.
so it makes sense.
Now another thing I want to talk about, and then we get up out of here, is Real Family Therapy Podcast. Sorry my camera's like that. Sorry everybody got to stare at this thing on my neck. It's a hair bump. I'm shaving. It's not a pimple.
Lord.
But I want to talk about generational wealth. So we just got some really good news this week. It's really emotional week for our family. But the good news is that our brother and our co-host, Are You Serious, has officially broken generational poverty in our family for the rest of our lives. Now, I'm not going to get into details on how. It's legal, and he's doing it the right way. But I'm gonna let him tell you his story.
Well,
But
I
what I want
guess
to say is, it's rare that it happens, and I'm so proud to see it happening, and I'm so proud that it's my brother.
right.
Yeah, go
So
ahead, Ted, bro.
yeah, so I'm put in the position to be able to. So like when we talk about generational wealth, that's money you can't mess up. I can mess up anything I got right now easily. You know what I'm trying to say? If I get laid off, it's a wrap. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? So it's like, but what this is it's basically a like I posted that thing when I posted, and what I was basically saying was is that I learned this from Pops and Mom pushing me, right? So like Pops has always told me like, what does that have to do with you? That's literally what he's always told me. Like if I ever say, well, what does that have to do with you? And a lot of people, because of what they've experienced or what they've been through, they will tell you how you have to get to certain thing or how you have to live your life, right? And then the only way that you can do this is if you go by this, this, and this, right? And
right.
there's millions of situations where that's not the case, but because they had to go that route, that means that you have to go that route, right? Or because the people that they've been around, they've only been able to do X, Y, and Z. So the only way that you'll be able to do X, Y, and Z is this route, right? So once again, I don't even have my bachelor's degree yet. I'm getting it on my way to it, but I don't have it yet. That wasn't even a criteria for this opportunity that I just got, right? That wasn't even a situation. They didn't even worry about that. That wasn't even referred to. That wasn't even a question asked because of my history and what I built up and what I worked for. So I planted seeds, as we were talking before, in 2016 for this opportunity now. Like I literally created something that now gave me this opportunity. So I really had to create my own position to a degree. I literally created my own position within a corporation, which is extremely hard to do. But because the same way that I think and the same way I analyze stuff and the way that my mind works, it's like, if I see something that's not working, I'll give you guys some recommendations on how to fix it, or my suggestion on how to go about it, or different ways that I've looked at other people that what they've done, not necessarily what I've done or what I would even do, but suggestions on that. So that's how I was able to create my current opportunity that I'm about to start next month. But it's like we continue to tell people, oh, you got to go to school, you got to get a degree, and you got to do this. Yes, but it has to make sense. Like it has to, like, I didn't, once again, you can tell me, but I didn't know. I didn't know anything about an engineer when I was young. Did you?
Never heard of an engineer
I
until I
didn't
was already
know.
in college.
son, I didn't know anything about being an engineer. I didn't even know what that was. I didn't even know that was an option. But if I knew back then, would I probably be an engineer now? I would say so, right? There's a
Right.
lot of things you have to do to go that route, but my mind is triggered to go somewhere else because engineers and analysts are kind of in the same field. Like I'm a consultant, but I mean it's like your job is to create and innovate. And that's what my job is. Different spectrums. Like, you know, I'm just glad I'm out of the call center aspect. Like, listen, there's nothing like shout out to it. I mean, it took me this far, but I'm glad I'm outside of anything that has to do with the call center. Like I'll still be working with the call center aspect, but that's not anything that I do anymore. And oh my goodness, it's a you know, because the only reason I said it is because it's the same thing with what I'm saying now is like they put you in a box of what you're capable of and what you can do. And that's weird to me. And it's like, yo, man, I'm doing I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and doing this. And then the last thing that I think about is a phone call because I have to do all this research or I have to look into this or I have to look into that or I have to create this calculation or I have to do this. I'm doing more math than anything. I'm doing more sum products than anything. People don't even know what is a sum product exactly. Like I'm doing all these crazy things. I'm doing weighted averages because people don't understand that you have to have weighted like for example, if I have 500 calls at 300 seconds and I have 6,000 calls at 200 seconds, I just don't divide that in half. You have to do a weighted average based off of the 500 and the 5,000 or 6,000, and then you come up with an average. Like it's more complicated than people think. And it's not. And if I just divide the number in half and call it a day, I'm giving you the wrong information. So like there's a lot of different things that go along with what I do on a daily basis, and it has nothing to do with calls. It has nothing to do with a phone call. Like I just did some great work for somebody to help them do some financial forecasting for the future on this great business. So shout out to the Black Girls Greenhouse. They're an amazing group of women. Amazing group. Like they had the initiative to build their own company and their own business, the Greenhouse. And I salute every one of them because that's hard to do. And everybody has to do their part. But I mean, like, I wanted to just make sure what I can do, if I can help you, I'll do it. You know what I'm trying to say? But like for me, in this position of like the wealth thing, like I'm nowhere near where I want to be in money. Like if I'm not making at least 300 to 400 within the next 10 years, something went wrong. And that's a minimum. That's me going like bare minimum low. Like if I'm not making at least 300 to 400,000 within 10 years, something definitely went wrong. And me making 300 to 400,000 in 10 years is like something wrong happened even at that.
Even at that work.
Right? Like, yo, like what in the world? Because there's a lot of people that would look at 300 to 400,000 like, ew. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like if Bill Gates woke
How
up
do
with
you live off of
$300,000,
three to
right?
$400,000? Like, so my mental, like, what was it? Hill Harper. I always tell this story. He came to my job through the Black Employee Network. Shout out to Blue Shield for having a Black Employee Network, but they also have Pacific Asian Network and LGBTQ plus network and all kind of these different things. So shout out to Blue Shield. So it's because they're great. But Hill Harper, one of the speakers, because we've had Angela Rye, we've had Cornell West, we have a lot of great people come. Van Jones, but that's a whole nother conversation. But we had a lot of great people come. And he was like, okay, I want everybody to write down their dream job and their dream salary, right? Just whatever you can think of. Write down your dream job and your dream salary, and whatever that is, just write it down on the paper, right? So everybody writes it down, right? And then he comes back to us like 10, 15 minutes later. It's like, all right, now remember when I told you to write down your dream job and your dream salary? Now double that salary. And everybody's like, okay, they doubled the salary. He's like, now, if you were able to double the salary, why? I told you you can get whatever you wanted to get. I told you you can make whatever you wanted to make. And you telling me that I just gave you the opportunity to double it and you did? If you didn't put an infinity sign, then something's wrong.
Right, because I did that
He's
in
like,
my head. Like, I only want $1 million. You like,
son, we limit ourselves naturally. And what he was trying to say, and it obviously I'm telling you the story, so it stuck with me. It's like, yo, stop limiting yourself to what you can do. That makes no sense. Like if I just gave you unlimited opportunity, I would have just said infinity sign. There is no amount of money that I'm not going to make, right? That doesn't mean I'm not gonna hoard all the money. I give away whatever. That's not the question. You don't have to go into the nuance of it. But what I'm saying is like we literally limit ourselves to what we can do. In the same way that you said in your head, like, yo, I'm gonna do this job and get $1 million of salary a year and then I'll be good. All right, double it. All right, now I can get 2 million. Why would you limit yourself to 1 million?
Right.
Did
Right.
did Bezos limit his salary to 1 million? Did Gates limit himself to 1 million? Like, there's a lot of people that do that, and there's a lot of situations where you limit yourself. And for me personally, man, because of what my father taught me and because of my mother, like it's a combination. My pops told me, what does that have to do with you? And my mother taught me about faith and my walk with God. So those two combined is a dangerous brother, because I don't have any issues where I don't believe in myself. I don't have any low self-esteem. I don't have any I can't or I don't know how. Every job is the same. Unless I'm doing like some surgery or like doing like some engineer type stuff where you really have to know it. Most of these day-to-day jobs and these corporate situations you can learn on the job, because that's literally all you do, because every
Anyway.
job does things differently. So you first have to learn that system and then you can expand from that, right? Because once again, if I'm a project manager and I'm a project manager at this company, but then I move to another company, I'm going to have to relearn how they do things over here, because I can't do it the same way that I was doing at the company A at company B. So I might have the general sense of it, but I still have to learn. And if you're capable of learning on the job and you learn quickly, which most people have to because training is terrible at most positions, then you just have to go about it. So for me, I don't worry about the requirements of a job. Like that's me. I look at the description of what it is and do I feel like I can do that? Do I feel like I want to do that? It's not if I can, it's if I want to do that. Do I feel like I can prosper in that? Do I feel like there's some type of growth in that? Like at my last position, I loved it to death, but they showed you're not growing in here. You're not moving up. And I was like, all right, that's cool. Y'all showed me that there's no growth, so there's time for me to move on. And God blessed, I was able to do so. You know what I'm saying? So it's like for me, like, and that's why I said like the wealth thing, generational wealth. I'm just making steps so that my future is prosperous and my family is prosperous in that same aspect. Like I want to do more for us more than I want to do for myself. And I wish that I had more time, and we know why, but I wish I just had more time, and I wish that I did more, and I wish I could do more still, and that's still on my head, but it's like I'm not gonna stop. And
No.
like I'll pursue, like I'm getting the bachelor's in July with the 3.83. Probably it might be 3.85 if I can get these last ones at as high as I can get. So we'll see. But more than likely it'll be the 3.83, right? Um, but I'm not gonna stop there. The only reason I'm stopping in July is because I have to wait until the next year until I can go into the master's program, because I'm not trying to get no student loan debt. So I'm gonna go into there for free, and I'm gonna get this master's for free. And then I'm gonna keep, and I'm gonna see what happens from there. But that's what I'm saying. Like for me, the education is it's just a tool, because it kind of goes to the conversation before. It's like, yo, a degree that only gives you the ability to be a worker, but it's your mind state with that degree that's able to make you be an entrepreneur or something more than that. And we had this conversation before, and it's like I don't chase money. I can't. I don't like it. I don't like the feeling. It feels dirty to me, right? Like, oh, I'm a hustler. I'm out here trying to stack this money, and then I can't. That's just not how I'm wired, man.
Right.
So, like for me, I feel like I have to get more into that, which is going to be tough. But I have to do that so that I can help more. I can help more people, because a lot of people do that stuff so they can get theirs. I need to do it so I can help other people, man. Because like there's more like the conversations and stuff that I'm seeing. I'm always helping somebody out. Always. That's just what I do. If you don't like it, that's fine. I'll help you too. I'll help you while you're talking about me. How about that?
Yeah, and when I say generational wealth,
Yeah.
well, the technical definition is money that you pass down from generation to generation, right?
Hmm.
And most people estate. Most people equate real estate to general wealth, generational wealth, where you'll be able to pass down this house. Like my
Yeah.
neighbor that lives next door to me, right? For example, his house that he lives in is his great grandmother's house. They bought that house in the 1920s, and he's just a benefactor of his great grandmother buying that house in 1920. And now him and his wife, they raised their children in there. And then when he passed away, he gonna give it to his child.
Right.
It's in the middle of the hood, but you know,
Still
if they
alive.
decide to sell it, and from what she paid for it in 1920, it was probably like $30,000. Right now, they try to sell it, it's probably $340,000.
Yeah.
But they're not gonna sell it; they just gonna keep.
But just the pressure of not having to generate a payment every month for housing, that's the major payment of any adult is their living.
Is the house, yeah.
That's the biggest expense that everyone has. And that's why they always be like, you got to make 2.5 times, 3 times as much as your rent or whatever the case may be, as if your gross is what you actually bring in. That's another conversation. But
yeah, so when we say wealth, we're not gonna get into specifics, but Are You
yeah,
Serious definitely makes over 100. He's a 6-figure, you know what? So we over 100,000 mark. So that equates the opportunity for you to be able to, when you buy your home,
right,
to leave it to your children and your
right,
children's children, and be able to buy
right.
something that our parents tried. You know, they tried, but we weren't in a position to keep
I'll
it.
even give you something even greater. Like for me, for example, the thing that makes me happy, and this is what Pops instilled to me, is that like, if my lady never works a day in her life again, we're still okay.
True.
You know what I'm trying to say? And like for me, especially like, because I'm gonna have a child, like that's gonna happen, right? But when I have a child, I want my wife to be able to literally be able to take care of the child without worrying about having to go to work or to having that separation or worrying about who's going to watch the child while she has this meeting or is running late or things like that. Like I'll take that burden and make sure that it's not a burden, but I'm not doing no long suffering either. So we all gonna be chilling.
Right.
Like I want to be able to put myself in a position where I'm an active father opposed to chasing money, because that's not going to be good either. Like so the positions that I'm putting myself in is that I still, we got summer hours. So no matter what on Friday, nothing after 2 p.m. Like stuff like that, where it
Mm-hmm.
really makes a difference. Like I get every holiday off. You know what I'm trying
Right.
to say? Like that's just simple things
Right.
like that. Like
You could take a 2-week vacation.
son, and I don't have to worry about it.
You don't have to ask them
I'll
what days can
willingly
I get
bring
off.
my work laptop just to make sure if anything else really cracks off, I'm able to assist. But it's not like it's not a requirement. And like for me, I started working at Panera Bread, and I worked there for 7.5 years. And people back then did not think that I was going to be too much or nothing. I'm gonna be 100. I got a lot of
I did.
Panera Bread, not you, but you know what I'm saying. I got a
Mhm.
lot of looks like Panera.
You work at a restaurant.
You do food, so like that's a bad thing, and we got to stop that crap because I came from there. So what is that? You know what I'm trying to say? Y'all giving me all this glory now, and I work way harder then than I do now.
And y'all eat out every day, so you need them people.
Son, like once again, I get more accolades and more respect for what I do now than I do when I worked the hardest, and that's weird to me. Like when I was at
Yeah,
Foot Locker, brother, I lost weight.
yeah.
I didn't go to the gym. I just went to work, and I lost 30 pounds by going to work. Like it's like, so like when we talk about like different things, oh, he just sells shoes, it's not that big. Man, if you've been to the back of a Foot Locker at the Mall of America where you got to climb a ladder and risk life and death to get a size 6, no, y'all don't know about them struggles. And people be running back there, they got to climb up these ladders, pivot and do gymnastics to reach this thing up there, and then you got to like, because sometimes them shoes be up,
All for you
they
to
got
say
to go
no, I don't
somewhere.
want it. Right, I don't want it.
And once
Okay.
again, you going back and forth. So I mean, it's like for me, man, it's like I think that there's a lot of self-doubt in those situations where people will think like you can't do something based off of your current situation. They'll count you out. Well, you just working here. I know a lot of people probably looking now like, hold on, he's a consultant. What in California?
Mm-hmm.
How wasn't he without a job? I thought he didn't have a job at one time.
Yeah.
Wasn't he
Hold on,
working at Buffalo Wild
right.
Wings?
What's
Yes.
that dude for
Working at
Buffalo Wild Wings? Right.
Yes, I was working
Right.
at Buffalo Wild Wings. I was grinding. Like I got more. This is the one thing that always made me upset. When I was working at that trash insurance, American Income Life, don't ever work there. Yeah, I said it. When I was working at American Income Life, that
Mm-hmm.
trash place, and I was getting $250 a week just because I had on a tie and dress pants, people gave me more respect than I did working for those other at Foot Locker, for example, just because I had the referee shirt on. But I was making 60,000 there dang near before I left there. But it's like you'll give me more respect just because of what you think than what actually it is, and that's why like I have a weird I don't have the same perception as most people do when it comes to work and stuff like that, because I know it's all trash. Like just because you got a suit on or you work in an office, that don't mean your job is cool. That don't mean you's better off. You could be working at these call centers getting trash pay, getting treated like crap, but just because you got 2 breaks and a lunch, you think you special? Like y'all better chill. Cause like when I was
That's
working,
how it is.
son, I was getting $35,000 a year when I first started at United Health Group, bro. In 2010. That's when I switched over to corporate in 2010. So I started in August 2010. And even before that, I was working at Best Buy. I was making more at the cell phone center at Best Buy than I was at United Health Group with the suit and tie, with the dress tie and the dress shoes. But because of the perception, then people treat you better or treat you a certain way. And I don't like that crap, man.
Yeah. At one point, I was making more money driving cabs than I was working at the welfare office,
Son.
and then everything went
Yeah,
down.
but I'm just saying
Yeah,
it's
like
like we
you don't
tend to
know.
give people more respect
To
about
look at,
what they do for a
yeah,
terrible job that they have no view about because they work in an office, like an office is the place to be. It's not.
it's the worst. Listen,
First and foremost, it's the most gangster place you can ever be because these people will cut your throat and you got to smile
in your face.
while they cutting your throat. So
Yeah,
it's like we
yeah.
we gotta change the perception. So yeah, I'm continuing to grow. I'm continuing to go higher, and I gotta thank God and the people surrounding me, my girl that supports me, like
But see, and what people don't realize, a lot of these times when
family.
people tell you these stories, they hear him, and we congratulating him because of the point that he's at right now. But like he just said,
Son,
it started at Panera Bread.
what
Like
I
I get
figured
to the
out at
next
Panera
step.
Bread got me here.
Yeah,
It's funny. Panini's got me 6 figures.
literally.
Literally. You want to know how? We were Paninis and fruit cups is literally how I got to where I'm at. And this is how I process and this is how it works, right? So what happened was that at Panera Bread, you have to make fruit cups for the mornings, but then they go bad by the end of the day, obviously, because they're just fruit cups sitting there. And then the same with paninis, you have to warm them up for like 30 minutes, then you can toast them, and then you can serve them to people. But if they're in there too long, they go bad and you waste it. So what I had to figure out is, okay, when are we selling these things and at what time, right? So how many are we selling on an average on a Monday at 9 a.m. compared to how many fruit cups are we selling at 8 a.m. on a Monday average? How many paninis are we selling at 5 p.m. on a Tuesday average? So I literally just went in the back and was like, yo, man, we got to figure out something better. So I just went on the computer and started making Excel sheets. And all I did was have every single day, and based off of what we were selling, I would literally mark down how many we sold. I would get an average and I would see a pattern. And then based on that pattern, I'd be like, all right, y'all. So at 10 o'clock, you put these in and then put this amount in. When that's done, then you put this amount at this time. So what it did was it made sure that when we needed it, we had it, but it also, we didn't lose a lot as well. So we didn't have food loss. We didn't have any type of food costs didn't go down. Food costs went down. Profits went up because we had the product when people wanted it, but we didn't waste it. And
Mm.
that's literally how I started this forecasting and how I started to calculate stuff and how I started to figure things out. But if someone else talked to me, I just make sandwiches for a living.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm trying to say? But I'm sitting
And
here
it's it.
doing corporate work that people get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for, sitting here at sitting here at the other job, minding my business, doing that stuff. And people don't realize this stuff. It's like, so stop putting people in a box. You don't know what they do. And to be honest, corporate is the most laziest people in the world because there's literally a position for everything. You have somebody that does the budgeting, but you have 10 people that do the budgeting. You have somebody that does this, but you have 10 people that do that in different aspects. You have somebody that does this, but you have 10 people to do that. At Foot Locker, I was HR, I was a manager, I was a trainer, I was a forecaster. I had to do everything myself. I was a sales rep. I was a stock boy. Like, y'all sitting here living pretty. I ain't getting no lunches and breaks and all this other stuff. I had to time out when I can go to the bathroom. That's why I can that's why I can go 9 hours and not go to the bathroom right now to this day. I can travel a whole day and not go to the bathroom because I'm mentally set to be able to be like, all right, I know I can't go to the bathroom this amount of time. So I need to figure out to make sure that I can hold it. I don't have that luxury. Oh, I got to run to the bathroom real quick. No, I got a room full of people and I'm the only one here. So if I go to the bathroom, all my stuff is gone.
Gone.
So
literally, you was the only one at the store.
Son, from 9 o'clock
Literally.
until 3 or 4 o'clock, I'm there because I didn't get the staffing hours to be able to staff during the day sometimes. So a lot of times I'm there by myself. So I have to time it out. All right, first thing in the morning, go to the bathroom. Then I won't be able to go to the bathroom until 5 o'clock. That's literally how my body works now.
Creating
so I can
schedules
go
for other people, time, rotation. Okay, if this person
Son.
ain't here, do I got somebody on backup? Okay.
Like when I just flew home. When I just flew home, I didn't go. I just realized I didn't go to the bathroom from 4 a.m. until 7 p.m. I didn't use the bathroom once. And I'm eating and drinking.
You gotta get that
Or
checked
I'll
out.
limit my drinking, or I'll limit my appetite. My appetite and my thirst will automatically decrease off natural. So I won't be hungry when I travel. I'm not hungry when I travel. Not at all. I'm not thirsty when I travel. I was on a 4-hour flight, didn't drink one thing. I missed it on my flight home. I missed the service. I didn't drink one thing. I didn't go to the bathroom. You know what I'm trying to say? Because I'm able to do that because of my history in the past. And I automatically just think of, it's just my body automatically goes into that mode. So when people sit there and talk about, oh, you're doing, I should have got that credit back at Panera Bread. I should have got this credit back when I was at Foot Locker. I should have got this type of accolades when I was back at Buffalo Wild Wings, because that's when I was putting in the work. This stuff is easy. Like I'm working
what's so
to a
funny?
degree.
I used to brag about my brother's jobs your whole life. I used to brag to people like, yeah, my brother work at Foot Locker. Like, he got all the my brother work at Buffalo Wild Wings. I ain't even hungry at this career. Never hungry. But every job, I was always proud of you. So it's just like another job, and I'm still proud of what you do.
Yeah, man. So I'm still, I'm a consultant.
Shout out to Harry Potter, my Gryffindor chain.
I don't know nothing about that, but yeah, I'm a consultant level, a higher consultant level now than I was before. But it's like, and this gives me the ability to, all right, well, maybe I can just do some subcontracting. I can just do it myself, some individual consulting work. That's what I just did for the other businesses. So I can continue to do that as well. I can help other people. If I see a small, like when I go into a small Black business, I literally am looking at things like, all right, if they just do this and do that and do this, then they can probably work out better. Like they keep running out of this because they're not planning for it, because they're not seeing how much they're selling at this amount of time when they're selling it and what they need to prep to do. So instead of coming in at 6 o'clock, maybe they should come in at 5 o'clock. So that way they can do this, this, and this. And then when they leave, they don't have to worry about that. Or even like the cleaning aspect of a lot of these places. Like, son, if you have employees, they want to go home. All you got to do is say, listen, before all you got to do, clean that and you can go. What? Word? Oh, all right, just cool. It's all done. Can I go now? Bet. Then you good. You can do you can have a clean, spotless place. You can have orders set. You can have stuff done as long as you make that a goal. Like even at Foot Locker, I sold the most stuff, not because I was telling people they got to sell. I was like, you can't beat me. And half the time I'm doing paperwork. Beat me. How am I able to outsell you and I'm doing paperwork half the day? I just had to put the inventory up. Why do I have more sales than you? You whack. Beat me. I thought you was bad. I thought you was cool. Beat me.
Right.
And that's what would happen. We'd have competitions, literally. It wasn't even about the paycheck. And I learned that from Shannon. Let me be straight up honest. Shannon was like, yo, y'all got to beat me. She was the training manager at Foot Locker. She was a mean one, but she knew how to get that stuff up. So I learned that from her. It's like, yo, man, you got to beat me. You can't be talking all this. You want to be this, and you want to be a manager, and you want to do that, and you can't even beat me, and I'm not even working half the time you are. Come on. So
Hey, I
there's
used to
different
work
ways
at
you can
this.
motivate people.
I used to work at this place doing telemarketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we used to do them same competitions where we tricking old people to donate money to these causes that really ain't even getting the money. So we would have competitions, and the competitions will get you up so much, and we're not even competing for nothing. Maybe like bragging rights,
Right.
$5, $10, you know what I'm saying? $15 here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get excited and make this company $20,000 that hour, and everybody in there is working hard as they can for $20, and we just made this company $20,000, and they motivate us by giving us a $20 prize to go after because
Y'all
we
happy
all
because
only
y'all got a
making
bag of
$8 an
Funyuns.
hour anyway. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's so yeah, your motivation is crazy, man.
But that's how it works, though.
Yeah, literally. It's DJ Double OG. We are you serious? It's Real Family Therapy Podcast. Man, again, we want to congratulate Are You Serious on his promotion, the new job, new pay rate. He was already balling, but now it's just to a whole nother level. And you know, it's crazy because nobody in our family that I know, cousins, aunties, uncles, grandmothers, literally, I'm thinking right now, I don't know anybody in our family that owns a home.
Does Uncle Reggie?
I don't think they own his home in Texas. He might
They
be
might.
paying mortgage. He might be. I'm
They
gonna ask.
might. I think they
I
do.
might. I'm gonna ask.
I think they do.
I don't. How long has he had? I don't know. Cause I thought he just moved. Maybe he just bought it recently or something. I thought it was
I
like
don't know.
6 years ago they moved from Houston to somewhere else. Either way it goes, maybe Uncle Reggie. And your name Reggie, so that's crazy. Maybe Uncle Reggie, but I really can't think of nobody. And I'm talking about in our immediate family. I'm talking about my mom's side of the family. I'm talking about dad's side of the family. I'm talking about even my wife's family. Her grandma owns her home. Her grandma does. Uh, but she don't own it because she still got to pay mortgage because she refinanced it. She 86
Yeah.
years old, so she ain't gonna never pay it off. So she not gonna be able to leave that to her children with a mortgage. You know what I'm saying? So you just had an opportunity to do something that nobody in our family has ever done, and that's big. And it's sad at the same time because it shows you, you know, where our
Yeah.
family comes from. You know what I'm saying, and how poverty is just so ingrained in the communities
Son,
that
like
it takes
it's
so long
weird.
for
Like,
you to get out of it.
son, like I compare like with my girl's family and like their structure. And it's like, yeah, like we don't have
Nothing.
anybody balling in our
You.
family. And I
That's it.
mean the history
Yeah.
of the family, like
Just you.
the years and years of the family. Like we don't have no ballers in our family. Like we don't have anybody that's
You
like,
don't even
nah,
got
just
people that
call up.
got good jobs.
Like, yo,
You
just
hear
call
me?
up uncle da 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 or aunt blah blah blah, and they got all them. We don't have none of
None of
that.
that.
And we was even talking before, like, yo, do you understand? My parents have never had their own shower.
Yeah. Never had their own bathroom
I mean, like shower. Like they had a toilet and
in
a
their room.
sink
Yeah.
in that little closet, but they've never had their own ensuite. They never had their own shower. Like they've always shared it with us. So there's little things that people just be like, I was having a conversation. It's like, yo, like we've never even had like that stuff didn't even I don't even process like that. A lot of the things that I even think about, I don't even process. It's like it's not even, and I'm not saying that we broke and we didn't have nothing, but it's like because we had a house,
Yeah. Well,
but it just literally wasn't there wasn't an ensuite in that situation. You had to think like, oh, okay. Like so there's a lot of different things that I know, like for me, it's just hard. And I have to
we
have those
didn't grow up in the same
conversations.
house our whole lives.
Yeah.
Like that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. Like, yeah, we had a crib, but like some people grow up in the house.
Yeah.
Like, how do you grow up in a house? You know what I'm saying? We grew up in this crib, this crib, this crib, this crib. I lived over
And
here, I lived
then,
over
but
here, I
then
lived
we
over here.
stayed there, and then like, yeah, it's like
Yeah,
it's a
like
moving around
literally.
type of situation.
But
But it's
people
like,
like literally have a house that they grow up in from childhood to adulthood, and then they come back like the neighbor next door.
yeah,
And I'm not saying that you got to buy a house right now, nothing like that. I'm just saying
on this
what
market in
you doing,
California.
what you doing, you actually are somebody that we can, like, okay, with me and Bernita right now, I'm gonna give you a real example. We looking for a crib, but it's based on this, and this, right? So we gotta look for a crib. I'm looking for a house. She looking for a house. Our credit scores are like 650. So we're like, okay, well, we can get it up to 7. Then we can get it down to here and here, and then we can do this. But we want to qualify for a house that's on $257,000. So we got to look in here, and not even just houses, but like cars. You know what I'm saying? You can only buy. I got $12,000 limit. You in a position to have a house, a car, and some money in your pocket.
I'm not
Whereas,
buying
you
a
know,
car.
most people
Yeah.
be like a house, a used car, and a little bit of money, or I can have a new car, some money, but no house. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Listen, my Camaro is paid off. I'm not messing with no car payments for a
oh, never,
while.
man. I'll never, man. What? I hate car notes.
I ain't messing
My
with
car
no.
don't even expensive. My car don't even that much, but I don't.
But yeah, but
It's
it's
my
like
first time ever
I know
having
what
it.
you're saying though, and it makes sense. Like
Like,
it makes
yeah, like
sense. But it's
nobody in my
like,
family, even Trish, I give you my wife's family. Nobody in her family ever even have a job, man. Just imagine going your whole life and your dad ain't never had a job.
but that goes back to
Or
the
your mama
callback
ain't
of the
never
Native
had a
Americans. It's like, yo, something's going on. Something ain't right. Something set up wrong. What's going
yeah.
on?
Like, we live off this, like, her family grew up, all she know, like, it's crazy. I wish I could tell. I'm gonna write it. I told her I'm gonna tell a movie about her life. But just imagine growing up and all you know is stealing, robbing, hustling. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what your parents are teaching you. This is how we survive. They're
To
not teaching
survive
you.
though, because
Yeah,
they don't
they're not
see
teaching you
anything
to go
else and
get
they
a
don't
job.
know. Like once again, if you don't know, then how can you tell somebody else and teach somebody else under you unless you know or go look it
Well,
up? But if,
imagine now that train just going.
yeah,
Now she found somebody like me, which is the total opposite. Like, I
right.
grew up the total opposite. We grew up, you work a job, and that's how you live. So imagine if she would have met somebody who thinks like her, her family, and then how far the generational thing would go. You know what I'm saying? On and on.
Yeah,
Now my mama taught me that. You teaching them that. You teaching them that.
yeah.
That, you know what I'm saying? Like, it can go on forever. So when somebody gets out of that generational curse, like we just said, my mom and dad side of the family, nobody's ever had nothing. So you're gonna be the first one. It's really important and it's big, man. And you know,
Because I mean, a lot of stuff they try
it's
to
a
keep
big
away
thing.
from us. So like, they don't teach you how to prosperly live, like when you go to school. Like, and that's always been an issue for a lot of people, especially in like the Black community as well. It's like, man, like you have to go get certain classes to learn how to do your taxes, something that everyone has to do, which is very, very strange, right? So if everybody that works and earns money has to pay taxes, why is that not a criteria for high school? For
Right.
you to learn and know how to do that. Why everybody tells you to buy a house, everybody tells you to get a house, but why is that not a structure class for
On real
high
estate.
school?
Yeah.
But I got foods for the world 3 times, foods for fitness, all sports and winter sports. Y'all couldn't have filled those up with different options, but there aren't those options, right? For those elective classes. So like you can have that criteria to be like, okay, home buying and real estate. You know what I'm trying to say? Credit, building credit, and exactly what is credit. Because everybody says get good credit, but no one tells you what it is or how to get it and what factors into it. So you have to learn yourself. You have to try to teach yourself, which isn't good if you don't have the base for the educations. So some self-teaching things are good, but some things you need somebody to guide you with and to help you with.
I'd
So
rather
I
have
had to take,
somebody teach me about real estate and credit than how to solve a
right.
pillow.
But I'm too busy trying to survive to have to add on extra things to learn sometimes. So some people don't have that extra time to learn. So they're like, why don't you teach yourself? Well, because I have to go to work. I don't have time for that. I got to work 2, 3 jobs. When do I have time to learn this? When do I have
Yeah.
time to go to school? When do I have time to do this? Like,
Yeah.
son, I'm in high school working 40 hours a week.
Yeah, or a
and
single
playing
mother.
football.
How do you have a child and go to school and work? That's almost impossible. It happens all the time, and people say it, but it's really almost impossible
Son,
to
I'm
have
talking about high
children.
school on top of that.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, like being
But
in
if you got a
school.
rent due, if you got rent due, and you're once again you are a situation where historically you don't have that education, you don't have that knowledge. It's like, man, come on, man, it's they setting you up for failure.
Yeah,
But it's like that's why, like for me, man, I don't want to. A lot of people, and it's the weirdest thing in the world. A lot of parents are doing things backwards, and I don't understand it. Well, I had to go through this, or so do you. What? I was on my own at 18 and I came out. Well, don't you want, didn't you wish that you had something different? Well, it
that's
made me who I am. Well, don't you think
that's.
you could have been better?
You sound like my wife. I'm telling you, that's
You
how
could have been,
Trisha talk.
you could have excelled more. You could have done more. You could have be more.
Yeah,
Like if you had a different background, do you think that you would be okay with this situation? Do you think that you want I don't want my child to have to do anything that I did, right? I don't want my child to work until they're out of college, my G. I want you to do internships. That's the only thing I want my child to do is internships. That's it. If they want to do internships for education and things like that, I'm all for it.
yeah,
But if they have to actually have to work to earn money, I'm cool on it. Because to me, that doesn't tell me anything, but you learn how to work. You don't learn how to, that doesn't teach you responsibility in the aspect of
true.
anything. You teach your child responsibility. You teach your child hard work. You teach your child these things. The job doesn't teach them that. The job teaches them to be bitter. The job teaches them traitors and snakes in the grass and all this other negative stuff that comes along with work. You got to deal with somebody trying to cut you off and trying to stop you from being prosperous at work. You got a manager that don't care about you but wants you to work because it impacts their life. Like jobs don't teach you the responsibilities and the work hard and the ethics and all the other crap. You teach yourself that from that, but you can teach your child that without having to go through the hard labor. I'm a firm believer. I don't believe in long suffering. I don't know why Christians love that crap. They like thrive off of it. Long suffering. Like that's something to be proud of. Man, I ain't eat for weeks. That's terrible. I just had steakums. It was delicious. It was on sale at the grocery store. Like I don't understand the passion with the struggle. Like I don't believe that you have to have struggle to be a great person. I don't believe that you have to be struggling to do this. If you embed the things that you want your child to learn, then they'll learn that. If you talk to them and teach them instead of sitting them in front of a freaking iPad or the television, they on YouTube more than they on anything else,
Man,
especially nowadays with being stuck in the house and things like that. So you have to take time to make sure that you're educating your children the way that you want them to be as adults, and then let nature happen
yeah, I see
because you only
myself.
can show them so much.
Yeah, I find myself doing that sometimes too. And Trisha checks me on a regular, and nothing big, but like, when we grew up. Okay, just imagine this is your cup. We know what that sound means.
Hey, I shouldn't be hearing no shaking. That means my cup is empty.
I
Fill it
need
up.
something to drink. So we train like this. So I make my kids, not all the time, but a lot of the times, I make them get Kool-Aid, make Kool-Aid, give me something to drink. And
That's not a problem.
Trisha like, but she like, why would you do that? I'm like, because my dad did that to me. So I'm doing that to my kids. She like, right, that's why I don't want you to do that. Because we grew up like that, where my mama made me get everything for her. And my mama made me do all that. So I don't want my kids to have to go through that. And it made me think like, wow, that's true. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't like that when I was a kid. It wasn't
I didn't have a
fun.
problem with it.
You know what I'm saying? But it
They
wasn't fun.
told me
It
I was the
just
fastest person, so I mean, I felt I
hey.
was fast. That's what y'all
Renita
used to
told
tease
Aaron,
me.
Renita told Aaron yesterday, she like, your dad told you the best Kool-Aid maker, huh? Don't believe him, because my dad used to say that all the time. He just saying this so you can make some more Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hold on, he got to make sugar-free Kool-Aid.
But
They
certain
lazy.
circumstances that can work because it helped me be a cook, and now I can cook my butt off. When
True.
Pops used to tell me, "Yo, I like the way you make that. You do good at that." So when I came home and there was cake batter on the table, and he wanted me to bake a cake or whatever the case may be, because you was gone by then, by like my junior and senior year, you was
Yeah.
gone. So like, yeah, he would just be like, "Yo, make this, make that, make this, make that," and I would just love doing it, and it helped me understand, and that's why I took Foods of the World and cooking for
Learn how to cook.
yeah
Yeah. So
Foods for
it's
fitness.
funny
But I mean,
because we find ourselves as parents, and it's good that you recognize it now, and you
yeah.
will recognize it too when you have them. And I'm
But that
glad
says
that
I
you
got
got stuff
somebody
like
that's with me that helps me, then reminds me the same way Trish does with you.
yeah. And I'm glad
So
I got
she
that.
she encourages me on different things of growing. So I have to get out of certain boxes and expand certain things. But I'm also open to try a lot of new things. My thing is I'm just not gonna initiate most of it. But if you ask me, yeah, I'll do it. Cool, no problem.
Hmm.
But don't expect me to be like, hey, you want to go hiking next week? No, I'm not gonna do it. But if you ask me, hey, you want to go hiking next week? Sure, I ain't doing nothing. Let's go.
All right, let's try it out.
You want to go
So,
kayaking? Let's get on these kayaks and get on down. I
so
have
yeah,
no problem with that.
we passing on traditional family
Yeah,
trauma,
man.
but
So
we also gonna be passing on family wealth.
just try to be better than the
And
last.
yeah,
Try
I'm
to
definitely
improve. Like
on.
Pops, he made
You're a
a. I don't even
motivator.
know how Pops is Pops, especially with his background and how he grew up. He's exceeded all expectations of any man in history based off of how he grew up.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's like
yeah.
so for
And
Pops
he
to
ain't here, so I'm
be,
gonna tell a quick story. He robbed the biggest church allegedly
hey, we not
in
gonna talk
St.
about
Paul,
that, man, because
and now he like the biggest pastor in St. Paul.
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. I said allegedly, but
Come
I'm just
on,
saying
man.
that's the transformation that we come through. Like he what like he the man he is today. Nobody, even his mama, would have expected him
No,
to become from growing up from where he was to where he is now.
not drinking, not smoke, not doing nothing. And
Nothing.
Dad used to tell what that Pop said it on here. If it was out there, I tried it. The only reason why I ain't tried because I couldn't find it.
Hmm.
Like that's what Pop said on the podcast. So it's not like
Hmm.
remember that one time we did acid and we broke into the room. You did what?
Yeah.
Like
I
when he
broke
told us
into
that
old
story
girl
on
crib.
here, I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
whoa, what? That's just a normal Thursday? Like you just pop acid and just so it's like
Break into
we're
people's
just
house.
trying to
Yeah.
increase and do better. And that's all I want to do is go forward. Like I make my mistakes. Am I perfect? No. There are people that probably hate my guts. Some people probably think I'm a terrible person, right? But we all have our differences and we all make mistakes and we all do things that we're not all proud of, but we try to do things better. And I'm still gonna make mistakes. I'm still gonna do stupid stuff.
All right, let's
So
end the
just because I'm on here
podcast.
preaching, but we good.
Yeah, no, we good. Let's end the podcast. We don't got no family dad jokes. His dad's not here. He handling business. Um, it's Are You Serious? It's DJ Double OG. You got any last words before we get up out of here, bro?
Uh I mean, man, like I guess to sum it all up, one, uh, look into why somebody's in their situation, right? So it's easy to judge somebody based off of where they're at, and that's good or bad. So we can look at the homeless people that are the Native Americans that are, homeless or whatever the case may be, and be like, man, they get money, they just choose to be lazy. And well, we didn't look into their situation. In the
Mm-hmm.
same way, you can look at somebody that's rich or famous and be like, man, they just got it good, and we don't know what's going on in their life either. We don't even know how they got there as well. So there's a lot of different things. So for me personally, I just think we need to ask more questions opposed to assuming.
True.
Just ask, just look into it,
That's
do
what
some
question.
research before just coming up with your own conclusion.
And my last word, something that you say that I take to heart, and I try to teach this to other people too. Is that you don't know what the end looks like. So somebody's situation right now, you don't know what their situation is going to turn out to
Mhm.
be 5, 10 years from now.
I'll give you that a prime example because when I started at the United Health Group, 2010, everybody started at the same position because of the new position. We're working to see who can be the supervisors and managers and go up. Well, the managers were set. We were looking to see who's going to be supervisors and the leads, right? So everybody's busting their butt. I'm knocking stuff out. I'm top ranked person, whatever the case may be, but I wasn't buddy buddy with the managers during the training. So this one chick, she became a manager. I mean, she became one of the leads and supervisors, right? That ended up being directly my supervisor. Now we knew why she was a supervisor because of it was how she acted, and they was all best friends, buddy buddy, whatever the case may be. But she was extremely inappropriate. I mean, extremely inappropriate. Talking about sex and sexual stuff all the time. I'm talking about innuendos out this world, crazy stuff. One time she came in talking about her hands were wrinkled, like she was in the water, but you know why her hands are
Yeah,
wrinkled from doing all that crap. So I'm talking about extremely inappropriate. So for me,
yeah.
trying to be in this new corporate and a black man, I'm like, listen,
Here,
how
right? Don't
about
talk to
this?
me. Leave
I'm
me
like,
alone.
listen, nope. I was like, listen, man, like you're my supervisor, it's cool and all, but how about we, if it's not about work, how about we just not talk about stuff like that? Because I need to keep this appropriate and I need to keep business wise. She turns back, tells HR I was yelling and went off on her. Well, the management team. So they pulled me in the side office and I'm like, so she's saying the crazy stuff. I tell her I only want to be professional and I'm in here in the meeting with you guys because y'all buddy buddy with her. All right, cool. I'll see how it goes. So she was trying to get me in trouble. Fast forward, I get a different position outside of that call center and she's still there at that call center, whatever the case may be. I get a call from a manager there at the old call center like, hey, I see what you're doing at this new at your current position. I want you to come back and be the manager back here because you're familiar with it, you understand it, plus the stuff that you learned at your old job. All right, cool. And they're like, yeah, and you got a couple direct reports under you because I'm the manager. You got a couple of people under you, had some people overseas or whatever the case may be, but I think you know her, but blah blah blah, she'll be directly under you. And guess who it was?
Oh, girl.
My old supervisor. So just because we started off and you had a lead in front of me, that don't mean that 3 years later I wasn't your boss and you was asking me if you can take PTO. Nope, you got the late shift too. Enjoy being here till 7 o'clock every night. Now, what I didn't do is be a jerk. So what I did do is like, listen, even though we had our situations, I'm going to show you what you should do and how to do it better. So what I did was I prepared her to take my position. I gave her opportunities to grow and educate herself. And when I left, she was able to take on that role as manager.
Mm.
So I helped her exceed her expectations and elevate. You see what I'm trying to say? So there's a lot of times where it's like you, and that's why I said you never know where someone's going to be because just because you're their manager today, it doesn't mean that you won't be reporting to them next week. And
For
that's
real.
literally what happened. You tried
Literally
to get me
viable.
fired and you thought you was bad news. And next thing you know, 3 years later, I'm your boss. You have to ask me about everything. I'm signing off
Gotcha.
your reviews. I'm making sure if you get your raise or not. So you got to be careful, man.
Gotcha.
It's right.
That's how it happened. All right, man. Yeah, you never know what somebody gonna be at, so don't judge them for today because you don't know what tomorrow look like.
Yes, sir.
CJ Double OG is Are You Serious, man? It's been a Real Family Therapy Podcast, episode 18. We miss you, Dad. We're gonna come out. Hey, we're gonna start having special guests come
Like
to the
Ja Rule.
podcast when OG's not here. So y'all stay tuned for that. Peace out.
Bye-bye.